right, so get your notebooks out, and we're going to talk about the mechanics of processing. Processing is about drawing, and drawing's about conceptualization. All right, and so that's the most important thing I want you to get from this beginning part of programming, is the idea that we can conceptualize a problem before we ever type in a line of code. We'll get there, but let's first talk about the mechanics of processing. All right, there's two functions that are really important in processing. Void setup, which runs once right after this play button's hit. Okay, so runs once right after play is hit. And void draw, which runs 60 times a second. Okay, and if 60 times a second sounds familiar, it's the same thing as running 60 frames a second. So draw, every time we go through the draw function, we're drawing another frame. So processing is not just pictures, but it's animations. We'll get there. We're not there yet. We're going to do some static pictures first. Well, to do static pictures, we need to first get a piece of paper to draw on. And so to do that, we say size in processing, and then we give it a number for the width and the height. So the first number is width, and the second number is height, and that's in number of pixels. So I'm going to give it a width of 400 and a height of 500 just to mess around. You can give it whatever you want. There's nothing special about these numbers, okay? So X and Y are, I should say, width and height of my canvas. The canvas like artist canvas to draw on, okay? And if I hit play, I get this cool thing, all right? So notice it's 500 up and 400 over, right? So its width is slightly smaller than the height, okay? These two numbers, the second I make this call to size, these two numbers are put into special variables called width and height that I can access for the rest of the program. To tell you what I'm talking about, I'm going to do a system.out.println, okay? And I'm going to say width, all right? And I'm going to invoke the variable width, okay? So this is the string literal width, okay? And then I'm concatenating to that the variable width. And remember, width is predefined in processing the second I make this call to size, okay? So width will have the number 400 in it after this line of code is run, all right? Similarly, height will have 500 in it, right? This is not rocket science, but we will do that. So remember concatenation in strings, right? That's a review thing. And system.out.println. Down here we have the console, just like our normal environments have Java consoles that we can print out to. And if we hit play, what we'll get is we'll get our sketch, and we'll also get the width being printed out and the height being printed out. Pretty cool, okay? Let's do one last final thing so that, or actually we're gonna do two more things, okay? So we're not quite there yet. So in draw, I can also do a system.out.println and say hello world or something like that, okay? And remember, draw happens 60 times a second after setup is run. So if I hit play, setup gets run, and then draw occurs. So if we're printing out hello world 60 times a second, you would expect this thing to get flooded with hello worlds, all right? So I'm gonna hit play here, and what we see is this thing get flooded with hello worlds, and it just keeps on going. So I'm gonna hit stop up here to stop it, and you can see I had a lot of hello worlds come out, right? Maybe like 5 seconds or 8 seconds. So 8 times 60, something like that would be the number of hello world lines we've seen. Okay, pretty cool. Oh, just to review, remember, if I take out the line, it'll print it on the same line. Okay, so you could do something like that, and I'm gonna, of course, do this. And we could say, you know, width and height printed on the same line now, right? So this is not gonna give us a new line, and then this will give us a new line at the end, okay? Very cool. All right, so those should all be things you should review. They should all be things you write down in your notes. Especially if you don't remember these things like concatenation, things like print line, right? Things like the width and height are things we're going to be using, okay? What setup is and what draw is, okay? You need to know those things before we can really get into the fun stuff of processing. The final thing you need to know, and I'm going to take a quick picture of my screen here. So I'm going to do a screenshot. And is the coordinate system. And we've talked about this before, but it bears reviewing, especially since we're going to emphasize drawing in this class. Okay, and since we're emphasizing drawing, one thing you will do is you will always start by putting this drawing in your notes and then mapping out the coordinates. So let's do that real quickly. All right. And so this is what happens when we say size 400, 500, okay? And we're getting this, okay? Well, what does this mean? Let's do that real quickly, or let's make that clear real quickly. All right, so we've talked about the origin in graphics. In all graphics programs, the origin is in the top left, okay? This is different from math, where the origin would be somewhere in the center, right? Or sometimes they even draw the origin down here, and this is plus x and this is plus y. Our origin is in the top left, and this is plus x and this is plus y. So x is the same, left to right, but y is completely opposite, up to down, okay? But you would be surprised how quickly you adjust to it. So don't be thrown off by it and be like, this is weird. It won't be weird in like one day. So in this direction, we're going to call it the plus y direction, okay? And this point over here is 0, 0. So this point right here is 0, 0, this coordinate. And this is the plus x direction. Did I say y? I might have said y. I'm gonna say wrong things every once in a while. So this is the plus x direction, right? And over here, we go from 0 to, well, this is maximum x, and it's 0 and y. Remember, the down is the plus y direction. So what we're going to get is y equals to 0, and x equals to 400, okay? Pretty cool so far, right? And now if we go down, we're going in the plus y direction. So we can do that here, okay? And I'm going to take this and put it over here. All right, so this is the plus y direction, okay? And let's see what happens here. Well, we're on the leftmost line of this window, so x is still 0, and y is going to be whatever maximum y is as we go down, which is 500 in this case, okay? And then finally, and probably a lot of you have jumped to this point, the final point down here is when we go over 400 and down 500, right? So we go 400 in the plus x direction and 500 in the plus y direction, okay? And this is the picture we get. So this is our coordinate system in processing, okay? And now we can kind of figure out what's going on with all of these things. And so there's a few questions for you to answer right below this video. I'll see you on the next video.